You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm thinking about changing the menu on this ship. Maybe if they let me cook some soup, they might appreciate that a little more than that gruel that they're being fed. I'm not sure what that's made out of, and I don't want to know.
I'll pass on the Orion gruel. Also joined with us today is Mark White from All Good Things and It's Green here on BQN. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, this is absolute pleasure being on Infinite Diversity. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
We're so glad to have you.
I just love the heck out of this new Trek that we're getting with Strange New Worlds. And I've just been fiending to talk about it. Amy and I have started, All Good Things a little bit talking about it each episode, but you guys really get to deep dive, and I'm excited to deep dive with you today.
Excellent. We're happy to do it. Before we jump into our topic for today, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make the show possible, particularly our associate producers, Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi and Justin Oser. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our Meetings of the Hive Mind on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. Alright, we have a little bit of news this week. We got an announcement that Picard Season 2 will be released on Blu-ray October 4th. Which, when I first read that, I thought, well, that's interesting, because Discovery Season 4 came out before Picard Season 2. But if we go back to what we've been talking about for a while, where we all think that Picard is going to be the next show that gets a new season before Discovery, since Discovery only just started filming, it makes sense that they would release the Blu-ray, because they usually do that a few months before the new show comes out. Case in point, we've got Lower Decks Season 2 coming out on Blu-ray next month, and presumably Season 3 is coming soon. We've been assuming August, although I'm starting to think if it is actually going to be August, they would need to announce it very soon. So we'll see, but I still think Lower Decks Season 3 is coming very soon, and that is the next Blu-ray. And then, so we get Picard in October, which makes me think we're going to get Picard Season 3 maybe even as early as December. But probably no later than January.
Good Christmas gift.
That makes sense. It's similar time frame to what they did last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We might end up getting Prodigy before Lower Decks. I'm not sure about, because...
Oh, that's something I hadn't considered. The second half of Prodigy before Season 3 of Lower Decks. Okay. I guess we've all been assuming August for Lower Decks because the last 2 years it was in August, but that doesn't mean it has to still be.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you have, Prodigy's geared towards a younger audience than Lower Decks, and Prodigy, they've also been releasing on Nickelodeon. So my thought is back to school, so October-ish. For Prodigy.
Well, it comes out on Paramount before it comes out on Nickelodeon, though. Like, it doesn't...
True.
They haven't... When it came out a couple months later on Nickelodeon.
True.
So...
But you do have... It is, like I said, geared towards the younger audience, and all the kids are, out of school through the summer, so it doesn't make sense to release it in the summer when they're not going to be watching as much TV. I don't know, that's my thought.
That does make sense. I do agree with what you're saying.
What kind of childhood did you have that you have to watch more TV not in the summer?
I grew up in northern Maine.
Well, I mean, I was out and about doing stuff in the summer.
I suppose.
Riding my bike and playing with my friends.
Swimming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we won't get into that then.
Also, I mean, growing up in my family, TV watching was very controlled.
Yeah.
So I think like I only watched a few hours of TV every week when I was a kid, anyway.
Wow.
And most of those hours were Star Trek.
Same.
Well, if that's what it's got to be, then that's the thing to choose to watch. So.
Yeah. If they're smart kids.
Yeah. I think my house is oriented around TV watching. I don't know. This is like there's never not a TV.
I mean,
on, so.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Boomer parents. Well.
Yeah, like
almost.
When my life, like I would say, like I definitely orient a lot of my life around consuming content. Like I can also go days without watching something sometimes. It depends.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see if we get Lower Decks before Prodigy. I don't think we're going to overlap. I think they realized, and that's why they ended up changing that. They were originally going to do Prodigy and Discovery overlapping for a long time, and then they only did that for a few weeks because I don't think Paramount thought adults would want to watch Prodigy. And they got that wrong.
Yeah. Hence the Murph shirts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. We come back to that. Those Murph shirts at Chicago that only came in kids' sizes. And within a couple hours of the convention opening, they're like, okay, you can order the adult sizes online. We've had a lot of requests.
I think that there's still people that have avoided it. I've heard online chatter from other fans that have said, oh, like, that's a kid's show, and I heard that's a kid's show, and I'm not going to watch a kid's show, and whatever. And to all of us that have watched it, we're like, this is pretty darn Star Trek-y Star Trek, and you don't know what you're missing. This is some real good content for a quote-unquote kids show.
And I think it's those same people probably... There's the same sort of conversation in the Star Wars fandom about like the Clone Wars show and Rebels and things like that, which... if you actually take the time and sit down and watch them as an adult, you realize, oh, okay, these shows are pretty good. But
Rebels was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite.
But there are also a segment of people that, I mean, okay, this is, I guess, just how their brains work. That I saw some people saying when Prodigy and Lower Decks were coming out, this, well, I won't watch it because I can't get into any animated shows, and I'm just like, okay. Okay. That's an interesting hill to die on, but okay. I mean, I guess if you've never been able to watch animated things, but I just don't understand. That's not a mind frame I can understand as someone who grew up in the 90s watching animated shows as a kid. Like, I don't understand how you cannot, like, how someone could be like, no, I can't watch an animated show. It doesn't...
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same appeal as live action. Like, I understand it being different, but I don't understand, like, if you like live action television, how you cannot also appreciate an animated show.
And there's no argument that animated is just for kids anymore, since, I don't know, The Simpsons has been on for, 30 years, and South Park for 20, so...
Family Guy?
Family Guy, Bob's Burgers. Of course, Bob's Burgers is
Morty.
family.
Rick and Morty.
Oh, Rick and Morty,
yeah.
gods, yeah.
Archer,
yep.
Futurama. There's so many.
Wow, this is just like, yeah, I forgot about that one, and
yeah. Anyway, long story short, if you've been sleeping on Lower Decks or Prodigy because they're animated, give them a shot. I think you might like them. Now, speaking of Picard Season 3, we know from Terry Matalas that there is going to be another character in the show that was someone he got really excited that he was able to bring in on the show, who is from Star Trek before, but would not tell us who it
Will
is.
Wheaton.
We know for sure.
Will Wheaton.
What?
Will Wheaton.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Not with that cameo at the end of Season 2. I think that pretty much rules him out for Season 3.
Yeah, I'm the same. If it hadn't been for that, that's who I would have guessed.
I don't know. I think I'm 90% sure it's Will Wheaton. And I'll probably be wrong. But I'm 90% sure at this point, at this recording, that it's Will Wheaton. aside from that, Rolaren.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my... because he did already rule out... He was asked directly about Miles O'Brien and ruled it out. Because that would have been my first guess.
Oh.
Yes.
But Miles O'Brien is not in it.
But as I said in the chat while we were discussing that, and Benedict Cumberbatch wasn't Khan either. So I'll hold out a little bit of hope. Little bit.
I mean, a little, but he was clearly willing to say, this person, it is or isn't that, like...
I'm being a little facetious, but... I don't
think we're going to see Colm Meaney in Season 3, unfortunately. But I think, yes, Michelle Forbes as Rolaren is most likely who it is, although it could be Denise Crosby as Sela.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would make sense, with the Romulan angle. With what has she been doing? How did the explosion of the star affect her? All of that. At this point, we don't even know if she's still alive.
I was expecting her in Season 1.
I was, too.
I thought she would be behind the Romulan plot in Season 1. It was kind of disappointing she wasn't, honestly.
Yeah. But, I think Rose, the most like... As much as I would love to see Chief O'Brien, we know how his story has had a proper ending. He's going to go off to teach at the academy, and that's what he's doing. Ro we left hanging, and then the organization she was working with got wiped out by the Dominion, and we don't know what happened to them after that. So I think this would be a really great way to wrap up what happened with the Maquis, and did she ever come back in a Starfleet? Because, of course, in the books, as we always say, in the books, she did. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But I like the idea of Rolaren.
You think if they bring Ro in on the show, she'll also be in a relationship with Quark, like in the books?
Oh, that would be adorable. I
just want to see Quark back.
Well, yeah.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
They've mentioned him so many times, and we still haven't seen him.
There should be like Star Trek Quark. I would just watch.
I
Quark's
think Armin
bar.
Shimmerman would do it.
Oh, 100%.
He has gone on record saying that he appeared in the makeup at Destination Star Trek 2019, and because his wife asked him to. Like, he straight up said that was the reason he did it. And he said that he was probably never doing this for a convention again, which, fair. But I think the fact that he was willing to do it as recently as 2019 for a convention means that if they asked him to do it on screen, he'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And two, I mean, that's a lot to go through for an hour or two on a stage versus, filming a television show. So,
I mean, I assume he got a fair chunk of the money from those photo ops, but yes.
But yeah.
And I think he did say specifically it was a TNG character,
He
right?
did.
Because, obviously there's a whole bunch of DS9 and Voyager characters we could mention that could show up.
Yeah.
And he also said it was someone that they had to work to get, I believe. Which makes it less likely to be Sela, I think, because no offense to Denise Crosby, but I doubt she's a hard person to sign on to something.
Well, especially something established like that, too, with her.
I'm willing to bet that if they call up Denise Crosby, hey, do you want to be on Star Trek? Her immediate answer is yes. And that's not in any way a denigration of Denise Crosby, because if someone called me and asked me if I wanted to be on Star Trek, my immediate answer would also be yes. But
Michelle Forbes, though, it might be...
Michelle Forbes has a history of turning down Star Trek.
Yes.
Yeah. But did you guys... I just want to touch on this briefly. Did you guys see her in... This is old now, but the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Oh, yeah, she was so good in that. You have not seen Battlestar Galactica, Chrissie?
No. Not for lack of wanting to, just you know how that can be.
Yeah, I do.
Her character was so fleshed out. I loved her character in Battlestar Galactica so much. She was just a really her character was, how do I want to put it, because she was kind of a bee to be honest. But she's really good at playing those villainous kind of roles. But it wasn't one note. It was not one note. There were so many facets to her character, and every time she was on screen, you learned a little bit more about her and a little bit more about her, and she was just really interesting and multifaceted. But also really just like kind of a badass.
And that's one of the things that made BSG so good, was how much they explored those characters. And like very few of the characters on BSG were one-note characters. They all had their own things going on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would just said at some point, Chrissy, you really should watch
No,
it.
I know. Literally, I mean, Jay's got the box set sitting back here. It's just a matter of having. Don't look at me like that. I taught 27 credits this last term. I could barely breathe, much less watch television.
Well, we might have a break in Star Trek for it soon,
that'll
so.
help. I think some of the other ideas that were floated, Barclay, I don't think it's going to be him because he's, we've got him on Voyager, so we kind of know what happens to him. Shelby wouldn't be bad, would
Shelby would be interesting, yeah.
I don't think we're going to see Alexander. I wouldn't. Why are you laughing? No. Okay, it's laughable to think we might see Alexander. All right.
My thought, yes.
Leia Brahms has been mentioned.
Maybe. Like, if Geordi were a main character on the show, then yes.
Yeah.
But I don't think... Like, if Geordi had been in Season 2 as, like, one of the crew of the ship, then I could see Leia Brahms in Season 3. But not without a strong Geordi plot.
Yeah, and that's also assuming that they're together. We have made this assumption.
Well, even if they're not together, because I don't know, and I always thought that was a little weird in the books.
Me
anyway.
too.
But
I liked them. I'm gonna die on that hill.
I don't hate them.
I don't hate
I mean, Geordi was creepy, but
yeah,
she makes a mean Fungili. Just saying.
She does.
Indeed.
My thought on that, though, even if they're not together, seeing Leia Brahms without it being a Geordi plot doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, agreed.
Like, the character has only ever been seen in conjunction with Geordi before.
Yeah, well, the time to have her on would have been when they were talking about the building the ships to get the Romulans evacuated. So, Dr. Solar was mentioned, maybe, but that's not.
I mean, Dr. Solar showed up.
But...
Okay, Dr. Solar was mentioned on the intercom and in dialogue like 20 times, but she only showed up in one episode. I think that's unlikely. Pulaski is another thought, but Diana Muldaur hasn't acted in a long time, and she did not like her time on TNG, so I think that's unlikely.
Mark's like,
also,
no.
Apparently Mark is very much not a Pulaski fan.
Yeah. I mean, there's some few others. There's always, they could go deep.
Controversial opinion, I actually prefer Pulaski to Crusher.
And Christo still talks to you?
That's not to say that Crusher is a bad character. I just find Pulaski to be a more interesting character.
I think she is... I like her doctoring style better. More, she's blunt and to the point, and I always appreciate that in people. But...
And I feel like, especially in her relationship with Data, she shows more character growth in one season than most of the TNG cast show in 7.
Yeah. Well, when you're looking at, Beverly Crusher being there basically as the mother of the Wunderkind and possibly a love interest for the captain, there's not a lot to get into there until later, so...
Speaking
Mark's
of which,
like,
do you think we'll get some interesting drama between Crusher and Laris in Season 3?
Do I think there will be?
No.
Please.
No, because Beverly has always been supportive of Picard's romantic endeavors. She never got in the way. She would sit there and talk about his girlfriends with him over like breakfast. Yeah. they're good friends. They're very close friends. There was romantic undertones, but, I guess on screen it never went beyond that. So,
Yeah.
And I know there's like books
Yeah, no,
and things,
I agree.
but who knows now at this point? Everything's out the window.
No, I said yes.
Yeah,
Jim.
no, I don't think there will be. I was mostly just saying that as a
Being
to stir something up there.
No, I don't think there will be. I think if you had the reverse situation where Picard had what he felt was an opportunity to be with her and missed it, and she was with somebody else, I think that might cause some friction. But also, he's far too, what's the word I'm looking for? First thought is gentlemanly, but then I'm also going to say an adult to let that kind of pettiness get in the way of something like that. So,
Yeah, and I mean,
as is she.
She had her occasional romances on the show. I mean, most of them were pretty weird and sci-fi-esque, but other than the sex ghost, Picard didn't seem to have a problem with them. And in the case of the sex ghost, it wasn't a problem. It did not appear that his problem was that Crusher wasn't with him. It was more that this sex ghost was feeding on her.
Yeah. Yeah, that was less the relationship and more the I think this is a bad idea in general.
Yes. Yeah. All right, so we should probably talk about Strange New Worlds
because it was a very good episode.
It was a good episode. I think this is going to sound odd. This might have been my least favorite of the season, but still a really good episode because I've loved every single episode this season. But there are parts of this episode that I truly loved. So anyway, Serene Squall. We get a lot of interesting stuff. We get some Spock stuff. We get Pike being a pirate. We get a lot of cool stuff. Mark, what did you think of this episode?
Space pirates? Count me in. The great sort of lead up to that where they're on the edge of Federation space and it's like the Wild Wild West. And of course, you have Anson Mount who was in Hell on Wheels with Colin Meaney, and there was a whole Wild West show. So there was it was tongue-in-cheeky a little bit, and that was cute. And so there was that aspect. But then, we got to leave the buoys as we're heading into the asteroid field. And then the ensnared with the net, and just like frame by frame, if you could go through this episode, it's just like, I love this, and I love this, and I love this, and yes, more of this. And the non-binary character Angel in her catsuit attire, and just sort of like it was Mission Impossible style with a shootout on the bridge. I was just like, yes, more of this. Oh. And so I was giddy through the whole episode, just like, yes, eating every little bite of it like it was just cotton candy.
Yeah, despite the episode having some very serious themes, I thought it was incredibly fun, which was a nice breath of fresh air after last week, which was also a very good episode. Last week we talked about how I would not probably rewatch that one. I would rewatch this one in a heartbeat. I just rewatched it again right before recording, and I enjoyed the experience immensely. Chrissie, what did you think this week?
Yeah, it was a very fun episode. There was some stuff that I kind of went, that's interesting. I don't know how to feel about Pirate Pike. I mean, I know it's just a moment, and he's supposed to. He's really. You get the impression he's just doing that to tweak number one anyway. But I was like,
oh yeah.
I don't know how I
so
feel
you're
about
number
that.
one in that
Yes.
scene. You're feeling the police stuff.
Absolutely, 100%.
Question for you with that comment.
Okay.
Do you consider yourself a fan of the original series or the animated series? Do you watch them on a regular basis?
I wouldn't say on a regular basis. I don't dislike them, but I grew up on TNG, so that's my go-to.
Okay. Now, same for me. I grew up on TNG, but as an adult, been exposed to the original series and the animated series more, and that is full on Captain Kirk because he would always during especially towards the end of the episode, be sitting in his chair and then make these offhand comments to like Sulu or Spock or whoever, and he was very tongue-in-cheeky, jokey, and I got that kind of vibe where it was like channeling like a modern Kirk there a little bit.
Oh, I don't dispute that at all. I also cringe at Scotty saying it'll be no tribble at all. I just, it's funny, it's good in context, but like, oh, do you have to do that, really? So I didn't hate it. I didn't, I just like, I don't know how to feel about that. But
I feel like I would cringe at that Scotty line if I had first seen Trouble with Tribbles as an adult, but I saw it when I was like 8 years old the first time, so I love it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm where fun goes to die. It's fine. That's fine.
Nice reference.
Yeah. So, but other than that, and even that, like I said, not a big deal. Other than that, I liked it a lot. I love how we have the ongoing story with Spock and T'Pring and some of the other issues that is being woven into the individual stories, so that it is both. It's you can watch just one, and it's not serialized. You don't have to have seen the last one, but also there's actual room for character growth because there isn't a concept of we need to have this chopped up so that we can show it on syndication without doing it in order. So I love that.
Yeah, I like that too. Also, if we want to talk cringy humor, I because of this episode, I rewatched Star Trek 5 last night, and oh boy,
yes.
If we want, that is a definite example of cringy humor. Like almost all of the jokes in that just make me groan.
And see, you're saying about Trouble with Tribbles at 8. That I saw that. Mm-hmm. That's the first Trek movie that I remember seeing in the theater, even though I know I was present in the theater for 4 and 3. And I loved it. I was like, that came out when I was 7. That was 89, right? Yeah. So I was 7, and I just thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. The thing around the campfire. I mean, it was just. But now I watch it, and I'm like, all right, that's cute. Anyway.
And Kirk refers to Tennessee whiskey as bourbon, which is a whole other problem. But in that same...
Oh, I think that was for the alliteration more than anything else.
I know it's for the alliteration, but they're two different things. Sorry, I'm serious.
No, that's all right. I completely understand.
Yeah, like, I think the only joke that I actually laughed at when watching it, and I've seen the movie probably 10 times over the years, and I did first see it as a kid. I don't know exactly how old, but I did see it as a kid, and I didn't like it then. But the only joke I laughed at is when they're in the turbo lift just after coming back to the ship, and Kirk says, "I could use a shower," and then Spock just deadpans, "Yes." That made me laugh. Other than that, no. Oh boy, there's and there are some good moments in that. Like, the moment when Spock tells the Klingon general, "Damn you, sir, you will try." Like, that's great. But there's also some really bad moments in that movie. But anyway, we'll get to why I watched Star Trek 5 in a bit. So, in this episode, we have Jesse James Keitel as Dr. Aspin, or more accurately, Captain Angel. I loved their portrayal of this character. I thought it was fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah, what a great Star Trek villain. This is classic Star Trek villain. Absolutely.
And I think they've been set up to come back, too. I'm
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I'm looking forward to that.
I loved how they were tweaking Spock the whole time, which... and I think you notated this, Chrissie, here, was that at first you sort of think that as a romantic thing, but really, once you learn that they're in a relationship with Sybok, that it's really them trying to understand Spock as knowing Sybok and knowing the differences in that Spock and Sybok are very different Vulcans.
Yes. We need to talk about that timeline, but we'll do that in a bit. Because they have brought to a head a question that's existed since the first episode of Discovery, so deal with that.
There's a lot of timey-wimey stuff going on with Strange New Worlds, too, because they keep saying it's 10 years until the accident, but if you look at the established timeline from other things, it's closer to like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sure. I mean, they're gonna make whatever modifications they need to be able to tell the story, and that's fine.
Yeah. Where I heard or read somewhere, and for the life of me I can't remember where, they're intentionally giving gobbledygook star dates because they didn't want to try to line up with the original series star dates, which were gobbledygook to start with. So nice. I like that,
Yeah. I mean, I've always thought that the star dates should have been gobbledygook from the beginning, because in the TNG era they weren't. They did actually make sense. Yeah. They changed a digit every time there's a new season. But I mean, most people aren't going to be able to listen to the star date and know when that is anyway. So I don't think there should be a rhyme or reason to the star dates.
Christos disagrees. We just had a very lengthy discussion about it.
I was going to say, and I've just made a bunch of nerds really mad by saying that.
Yeah.
Well, all I'll say is that once, on the original series, when they didn't know it was going anywhere, fine. Once they got to TNG and they knew that there needed to be some continuity, and particularly once it really took off and they're doing DS9 as well, and we're going to continue in this universe, it would drive me crazy if they were gobbledygook. But, okay. After that point.
Fair enough.
Season, original series, I get it. You don't know what's going anywhere, There's a lot of instances of we don't know this is going to continue with original series, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Vulcanians and the United Earth Space Program.
And Klingonese.
James R. Kirk. And Klingonese, yes. All right. So I like that T'Pring is reading books about human sexuality. I very much like how she just surprised Spock with it, and he's just like, "What?"
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was good.
Oh, so I have some thoughts on this.
As do I. So I want to hear what you have to say.
So, happy Pride Month, everybody. When I heard her say this, that she wanted to introduce experimentation into the relationship with human sexuality and whatnot in regard to Spock. I mean, maybe it's because I'm in the LGBT community, but my head immediately was just like, oh, are they going to bring another person in the relationship? Is it going to be a boy? Is Spock going to get all experimenty with a guy?
This is how the show introduces
this was going to get some flash fiction happening. I mean,
I'm sorry, that's exactly what I was
about
thinking
that.
Too. Yeah.
I mean, and I wasn't even doing it from a place of just oh, I hope this happens. It was oh my God, is this about to happen? And even
I didn't have that thought, but now I can totally understand why you would.
They really set it up with the dialogue as though that was going to happen, and it got closer and closer to the moment. And I was just like, oh my, and then it didn't happen, and I was just like, oh, maybe later.
Yeah, they didn't rule it
out.
I
mean, I don't think he didn't know who Stan was. That could be an issue. Okay, never mind.
It's interesting that we already are introduced to Stan, and apparently T'Pring's gonna start to have a workplace romance here.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna fall out, because I don't feel like that's gonna be a workplace romance. I feel like she's gonna be like, oh, I understand you, and I don't understand Spock, so that's that.
Yeah. So here's the other. Okay, and we're jumping way ahead,
whatever,
but whatever. Who cares? What's the deal with the mock time? Because it really doesn't. What happens in a mock time does not match up to what we're seeing in this show, especially because we have the scene where they just break off their bond, and it's fine.
Well, she knew that was a ruse. So
Yeah.
Right, but she knew it was a ruse, but that makes it clear that you can break off a bond without a fight to the death.
Not during Ponfar, though. Ponfar must be resolved with sex or death. That's what we've established.
Right, but then why aren't there Vulcan sex workers to solve this problem?
There are holodeck programs. I mean, just ask Tuvok.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess not at that time, but...
There are ways to solve this problem without killing people. And the fact that it's clear that Vulcan betrothal or... I forget the exact word they used, but the bond that they have is not something that Vulcan tradition requires them to not be able to break.
Yeah.
It clearly can be broken because they do it and then immediately reaffirm it. But that's beside the point. The fact that they were able to do it without anyone dying continues to be like, how are they going to reconcile this story with Amok Time?
Can I just, if we're bringing up Amok Time, I just want to say how appreciative I am. Somebody that, like, I never really was that in the original series, but I always liked Amok Time as, like, a great original series episode. And just whenever T'Pring is on screen, there's something Amok Timey that gets brought into it. And I think it was the previous episode where... Was it the previous episode? I don't know. But when Spock had that sort of nightmare, right? And he's walking, across that sort of mountain ledge or whatever. And it's shot for shot the same as they did the original series. The set looks the same, but updated. But it's that historic place of his family. And they reused the music. I was just like, all of this was like a warm Star Trek-y hug. And, Leonard Nimoy himself was saying that was one of his all-time favorite Star Trek episodes that he did. So it's such a nice homage to what Leonard Nimoy did. It's really like, it's a gift to the fans, Yeah, I just want to say that. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's
right. I agree. I'm just really wondering how they're going to make what's happening in Strange New Worlds and in such a way that Amok Time makes sense.
I think it gives weight to Amok Time. More weight, because when Amok Time came out, we were like, who's this T'Pring? Oh, we're all in love with Star Trek as fans. I mean, Spock as fans. So, why... We don't want him to get married because we love him and blah, blah, blah. Like, the fan community, right? He was like the sex symbol. And so, it was sort of a one-off episode, and people just instinctively didn't like T'Pring, but now with all of this backstory they're filling in, now we're going to watch Amok Time and be like, oh, this makes it so much more tragic.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like a Greek, tragedy.
Oh, absolutely. I just am hung up on the fact that if it was not the only way for T'Pring to get out of this relationship, I'm hung up on the whole fight to the death being a required thing.
I can fix that for you. They get estranged at some point, but neither one of them wants to bring up ending the relationship. And Spock is spending this time hoping that his human side will prevent Ponfar from happening. And then it doesn't. So that's it. And then their hand is forced.
Help explain why the situation happened in the first place and why Spock had to divert the Enterprise to go back to Vulcan and hadn't planned for that ahead of time, because he thought maybe he wouldn't have to have Ponfar. Yeah.
Right. And once Ponfar starts, all bets are off. So, yeah. I mean, that's the only way I can see it working out.
Vulcan sex workers.
Well, okay. Or Christine Chapel, but whatever,
Or James Kirk. Whatever floats your boat.
Yes.
He could do better than Kirk.
Most people can.
I liked what they did with Philippa Georgiou. I gotta bring this up. When Philippa Georgiou was in the Orion sector on Kronos, and
when she was in the brothel and had the threesome?
Yes. How great was that? Just like, yes, all of the things happening with all of the people. And anyway, I was just like,
It was very in character.
Yeah.
Like, we're here to try to stop the Klingon war, but there's this brothel here, so I'm gonna, have some fun.
well, so, and this is, like, important, I think, I'm bringing up, it's Pride Month again, but it's like, sexuality has always been such a taboo thing for any, for the arts in general to really talk about. I mean, television and movies and stuff, they try, to have a mass appeal, right? And so if you show something outside of the perceived norm, then maybe you can't show this in China or somewhere else where, these things are taboo. And so it limits the financial gain of these big companies, right? So we don't get a lot of on-screen things like that. And so for Star Trek to jump on and be progressive as far as, like, yes, the spectrum of sexuality is a lot more than just, gay and straight. There's all of these shades, and they're saying, in a way, and this is what I've been getting from the current iteration of Trek, that, in that far in the future, it's not going to matter. You just do you.
Yeah.
And I really hope for us as a society that we get not only beyond the need for financial gain and greed, and we solve hunger and all these other things, but we also solve our society's hang-up with sexuality and the fact that it's got to fit into these perceived boxes, and if you're not in that box, like, you're weird, right? So I love that Star Trek is starting to do that, even if it might, seem woke or what have you,
Well, to quote Georgiou from an episode in season 2, "Don't be so binary."
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, he's gay in
also,
this timeline, and everywhere else I know. Sorry, I interrupted you.
One of the best lines. Every time I hear it, I laugh right out loud.
I will say, you mentioned a lot of studios are worry about doing that sort of thing to upset certain international markets. Well, I mean, I think the last few years have shown us that Paramount doesn't care about the international markets.
Oh, Thad.
No, you've got a point. I mean, they have kind of given the rest of the world a big old middle finger in terms of.
We're sorry to our European friends in particular.
Yeah, I'm really sorry to non-U.S. people listening to this show. I care about you very much, but Paramount doesn't seem to.
Just as an aside, it's so interesting that we're talking about this today because this morning I was just scanning through headlines, and apparently China has banned the new Buzz Lightyear movie because there's a same-sex kiss in it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Two consenting adults that love each other are embracing.
Yes. And it's two women, too, which was going back to what you were talking about with Georgiou. We see Georgiou, and it was a man and a woman with her, or apparently, right? It was okay.
Yes, it was a man and a woman.
And the only other time we've seen anything akin to that was in 2009 with Kirk and the two women, or maybe it was in the second movie. I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about? I think it's in the second movie. You guys are staring at me like I'm.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a moment, I think, like, he gets a call and he hops out of bed and there's two women there with him.
Makes sense. It's on brand.
If that's in Into Darkness, I have seen Into Darkness twice.
Maybe.
And
it's not in Beyond. I know that.
Try not to remember it. So
anyway, okay. So my point is,
it's definitely not in Beyond. I don't remember it in Beyond. I've seen that many times.
It would not be in character for him in Beyond, but
the only thing I can think of in Beyond is there's the scene where Chekhov gets kicked out of a girl's quarters.
That's good. Right. I cannot think of anywhere, and admittedly, I am not broadly experienced with pop culture. I haven't seen Battlestar Galactica and many other things, but I can't think of another instance on television or in like a mainstream movie where we see a woman initiating that. and being central to it. You see it with men. I mean, it's such a joke, like Spaceballs, right? The president is in bed with those two women, you know? Yeah. So you see that portrayed with men, but you don't see it portrayed as women being the initiator of it. And I think, so that's what I'm getting at, is it's good to see Georgiou having done that. Anyway, so back to T'Pring. Okay.
I'm sorry that you joined us for this conversation.
I'm not.
I am so glad that I'm here for this discussion.
So the books that T'Pring talks about that she reads, right? So Tropic of Cancer is one of those like classic boomers read it in secret, you know, got it from the library. There was a freaking episode of Seinfeld about it. Okay.
I heard about that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not read it.
It's and I haven't read it either, probably because I could find other sexy books later. But Erica Zhang's Fear of Flying, I'm not terribly familiar with. It is fiction, but I recognize the author's name. But since I worked in a bookstore for so long, that's never helpful. Maggie Wilson's The Argonauts is just from a few years ago, and that's about a group of LGBTQIA plus people. So she has...
Yeah, I've heard of that
and
one.
I hadn't heard of that either. But if you look at that, she has a perspective from a man, from a woman, and from somebody who's more open across the board.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I have heard of
you
The
have?
Argonauts.
I'm sorry.
I haven't read it, but I have heard of it. I've seen people discussing it before.
Yeah. So she picks, and Argonauts is a memoir, and Tropic of Cancer and Fear of Flying are both novels, fiction. So I thought that was interesting because being the logical Vulcan that she is, that would not be the first place I would think she'd go. I expected her, if you had said to me, T'Pol's going to read some books about human sexuality, the first thing I would have figured she picked up, if we're staying in like English-speaking culture.
I think you mean T'Pring.
What did I say?
You said T'Pol.
Well, she read it too. Yeah.
She probably did too, for, similar reasons.
T'Pring, no.
But yes.
But you think the first thing she'd pick up might be the Kinsey report, the Masters and Johnson experiments, study, not experiments. I guess it was experiment, but
Though there were experiments too.
Joy of Sex. I mean, that's a classic. And the Hait report was the other one. Because even if they wanted to...
I don't know the Hait report.
Yeah, nobody knows the Hait report. Okay. Chrissie's History Corner. Cher Hait did a study of human sexuality and published it shortly after the Kinsey report was out, and this was part of the women's movement. And it basically, the bottom line on it was, yes, women do orgasm, and feel free to figure out how to do it for yourself if your man won't. So that's important. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting that she went after narrative as opposed to scientific study. So maybe that fits in with what she's trying to do. Yeah. I'm done now. Sorry.
Yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't really considered, but yes, you would think from a logical point of view. But perhaps because she's trying to understand humans and she knows that for humans emotion is a big factor, she's going for these stories to be more human and less clinical and logical.
Good point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah, I think they touch on that in the episode a little bit. It's just she's trying to get a more well-rounded, I guess, idea of human sexuality from like kind of all angles.
Yeah.
To know more about Spock, because she gets him from the Vulcan side. Mm-hmm. She understands that, but it's the human side that she really doesn't get. And, the irony here is that, while she's trying to do this for Spock to understand Spock more, Spock is like running into the closet, so to speak, about his humanness and trying to keep it from everybody. He's closeted human a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're all just screaming at him, come out. Just be yourself, Spock.
Yeah.
You don't have to, she says in the episode, Angel says in the episode, or Dr. Aspen or whatever, says
Captain
in the episode,
Dr. Aspen Angel.
maybe you're, maybe you're neither. And that made so much sense. It's like, yeah, maybe. And he's like, oh, that's not logical. But to me, I'm like, that's the most logical.
He actually
that you're
said
your
that.
own thing.
He said that earlier to T'Pring. Here, he's
greater
just
than
Spock.
the sum of his two parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved that coming out of the mouth of somebody who's trans as well and who's portraying non-binary. That was perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, last thing before we go on away from Spock and T'Pring, and everything that we've been talking about for an hour, do you think she's creating a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Yes.
I mean, we know where it goes, but yeah.
I think we're all in agreement that seems to be what they're doing, or where the writing's going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as they introduced T'Pring, I mean that you could tell that's where they've been trying to go. Like in the very first episode, you could tell it was going that way, and I do like it. I do, because I do like that we now understand T'Pring's motivations, and we see her as not the person who, is forcing Spock to fight to the death that we know from Amok Time.
Quick question for you guys. Do you both watch Ready Room at all?
No.
I don't usually, actually, because I don't... it's the same reason I don't listen to other podcasts until after this one. I don't really want to color my interpretation of the episode.
Well, they had a great interview with Jess Bush, who plays Christine Chapel, and one of the things that they had touched on is the fact that her character is essentially having the male role, that's typically there in mainstream media as far as being the aggressor or the pursuer with other men. And she has all of these flings and one-night stands, and she does her own thing. She's very comfortable with her own sexuality, not from a malicious place, but just like, I want to do this. No, and I think I'm going to do this, and I think I'm going to do this. Yeah. And she's very she comes about that honestly, right? And I love that. And I love that within that, so you see that there's a sort of almost like a tragic nature to her character as well, because she is still pining for Spock. And really towards the end of this episode, it's kind of gut-wrenching when they have that scene together in they're in the medical bay. My heart breaks, because I really feel for Christine here, of just and again, this is something that, if you're in the LGBTQI plus community, you've experienced in your life. I think maybe it's all of humanity, but really like within the community.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's something that I've definitely experienced in a non-LGBTQ
well,
context.
True, but it's different for us, because the rest of the world is a very straight world, right? And everything is, you watch ads on TV and it's like, the straight couple, brushing their teeth together, or the straight couple, raising a family together. It's very rare that you see LGBTQI plus community represented, on screen like that. And, where I was going is, the fact that, you do have her sort of, owning her sexuality and, pining for Spock, and it just sort of going unrequited. And you see more of that in the original series. And I think that her character is fast becoming one of my favorite characters on Strange New Worlds. I don't know. Gonna throw that out there.
Yeah.
And she was a total badass in this episode with, using the hypo spray to incapacitate people and what have you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering now, I guess, is she gonna... So, I think it was Akiva Goldsman said that we need to stay tuned because we will see Roger Corby.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering now, given this, what we see, especially in this episode, I'm wondering, is she going to sort of go for Roger Corby as almost a rebound or reaction to how she feels about Spock?
Unfortunately, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Roger Corby.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Well, it's okay. He doesn't have emotions after he becomes an android, so he won't feel anything anyway.
If we meet him and he's very stoic and Vulcan-like, then I think that's... If he's not, then that wouldn't make sense. So, yeah.
I think he almost has to be stoic and Vulcan-like, because otherwise if he weren't, they would have known immediately in What Are Little Girls Made Of that he was not the real Roger Corby.
Oh, excellent point, yeah. That scene at the end, it is very obvious that Chapel's interested, even if we're not pointing at the unrequited pining after him part, because she says something to the effect of, "You're not the type to go chasing after another woman when you have a girlfriend," and that's very much putting the onus on him, and very much saying, you know, if you want to break that off,
you can very much hear in her way that it's like you can hear the unspoken part. She's like, but yeah. And I like when Spock says, "You understand me well."
Yeah.
He says that to both T'Pring and Chapel, and I think that's interesting. And he means it when he says it to Chapel, and he doesn't mean it when he says it to T'Pring. And I think that says a lot.
You think so?
I think so, yes. Because T'Pring says that... Because he says it to T'Pring after she says that I don't believe you could ever be... Like, it was clear that you could never actually be attracted or interested in that woman. And I don't think that's true. I think he probably is, but he's not going to act on it. But he certainly can't tell T'Pring that. Like,
I think that the way he answered it was not necessarily a lie.
I don't think it's a lie, because he didn't specifically say... Yeah, because there's a lot of wiggle room there. He could say that she understands him well about other things. So you're right. Lie is wrong, but I think he certainly means it more when he talks to Chapel than when he talks to T'Pring.
Different context.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the dichotomy of that he uses that same line on both of them.
And I hadn't noticed that. Good catch.
All right. So... we should probably talk about the pirates at some point. You know, an hour into the episode, we can talk about the main conflict of this episode. Did you guys see the betrayal coming? Because I suspected there was more to her, but I did not think she was the captain of the pirates. Like, that I did not see coming at all.
Well, when I saw the trailer for the episode and I saw Dr. Aspen Angel with the snaky kind of face tattoo, I was like, oh, she's a pirate. It's like, if you want to, like, really mislead the audience, put an eye patch on her and, like, a hook for a hand. I mean, that's essentially what they did. They made her look very piratey, and even costume-wise, like, the way they dressed her, she looked very much like a space pirate, pretty much. They were like, here's the space pirate, but no, she's just a tender, look over here, she's a therapist, but she looks just like a space pirate, but okay. So, it wasn't that shocking to me.
See, I would also hope that by the 23rd century, there would be less of a stigma about things like facial tattoos, though.
Well, yeah, but it was a snake face tattoo.
Yeah, it wasn't like Chakotay with the...
Right.
The tattoo isn't the issue, it's the subject.
No, Chakotay's also a secret pirate. He's just been playing the long con.
Actually, technically, Chakotay is kind of a pirate when we meet him. So.
He is kind of.
Chakotay started out as a pirate, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah.
Well, he's... yeah. Oh, God.
Give us your Romulan ale.
Chakotay never said any line as interesting as "our mateys" in the entire run.
Ooh.
Oh my God, I almost spit out my coffee. Bad. Stop being funny.
That's painful.
Some of it went up my nose.
I need to find the emotional damage guy to put in here when I edit this.
All right. So, yeah, I definitely could tell that she knew more than she was letting on, but I did not expect her to be one of the pirates. It's interesting the parallels between this and Star Trek Beyond.
Yes. Jay brought that up when we were watching it. He said it's like that woman in Beyond, whose name neither one of us could think of.
Except in that case, it wasn't like, I mean, she wasn't actually secretly Krull.
Right. Well, it's got to be a little
but
different.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I there were a lot of parallels between that as I'm watching this. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So the Federation doesn't like their ships leaving Federation space? That seemed odd
I think
to me.
that had more to do with where.
What about the whole seek out new life and new civilizations and boldly go where no one has gone before? How are you doing that inside Federation space?
Well, people have been to that place before and they know that there's pirates, so...
Yeah.
I guess.
I agree. That's a little... If they had said it was like part of the neutral zone, then that would have made more sense, but we don't have a neutral zone yet, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Romulan neutral zone.
Oh, there would be, yeah, of course. By then. Yeah.
Yeah, the
after
Romulan
the
neutral
war,
zone already
yeah.
exists because it's in Balance of Terror.
I liked the little nod to Voyage Home when Pike tells Spock to just guess. And it's...
Okay, that scene annoys me, though.
In Voyage Home or in this episode?
No, I like it in Voyage Home. I guess... That's extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
No, in this episode, it annoys me because Spock is clearly uncomfortable guessing, and it is literally just guessing. It's a 50-50 chance. It's not like there's any reason to choose one or the other. Pike didn't have to put him on the spot. Pike could have chosen, or asked Ortegas to choose. He didn't have to make Spock choose when Spock clearly was not comfortable choosing.
I hadn't thought of it that way. Yeah.
I just thought it was weird how visibly shook he was. For all his Vulcanness, it was a pretty easy read that he was shook.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why I feel like Pike should have noticed that and said, just asked Ortegas to choose or picked one himself.
Of course, plot point. So
Angel says that trap was not made by the pirates because if it had been, it would have killed them. And I think that has to be accurate that it wasn't made by the pirates because they had a 50-50 chance of dying just then. And that would have, obviously ruined all of their plans.
when I saw it first thing, I thought it was Tholians. But,
we all did.
Yeah, everybody did. So, maybe they stole a piece of Tholian tech. I don't know.
Maybe the Tholians are over there, too,
Yeah.
operating. They didn't say what quadrant they were.
As an aside, and probably cut this out, I think all of us have used both they and she to refer to Angel throughout this whole episode, and I just realized that. They is the correct pronoun, but I'm pretty sure I said she as well a few times. I'm not sure how we can deal with that other than maybe don't cut that out, actually, because otherwise then we just, if we don't recognize it and don't...
We're at least trying.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I hope that comes across.
And I think the actor is a trans woman, but I don't know which pronouns. So
I thought they were non-binary.
the character's non-binary, but maybe they are.
I think the actor may also be... The actor is certainly trans. Hold on. Okay. Wikipedia says that Keitel is non-binary, but uses she/her pronouns.
So we're safe.
But, well, Keitel does.
Yeah.
But the character of Aspen Angel uses
I'm
they,
less
them.
concerned about insulting the fictional character than the actual person, so...
Right. No, I'm with you. But I do think we should maybe still mention that briefly.
I'll work that in where we talked about it.
But yes, it appears, assuming that Wikipedia can be believed, and I think because it specifically said, a lot of times when it's a Wikipedia article about someone and they just use pronouns, I don't know if I can trust it, but in this case it specifically says that she uses she/her pronouns. I think it is safe to say that's accurate.
All right, cool.
Moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where are Hemmer and Uhura?
It happened on night shift. except for everybody on the bridge.
I guess. So, speaking of which, like, you'd expect to see Hemmer, like, fighting a bunch of these guys, rather than just going down immediately, getting captured immediately. But, speaking of that, security on the Enterprise is lax. Okay, so, one, Spock's the one that notices that other people have beamed on the ship, and that's a couple minutes after they had beamed on the ship. Why is there not an automated alarm that goes off for this sort of thing? Why isn't that something La'an... Wait, is La'an in this episode?
Oh, I don't think she is.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing La'an at all this week. So, where are half of the crew?
In quarantine.
Oh, probably. In all seriousness, you may be right.
La'an is in the episode. She's in the landing party that goes over the ship.
Okay.
So, sorry for that. Yes, La'an is in the episode. She is there. So, forget that part. It makes sense La'an wouldn't notice because she wasn't there. But, why does it take... Why is Spock the one noticing the security issue and not whoever is working security on the bridge? Why does it take a couple minutes for them to find out that people beamed onto the ship? Why is there not an automated intruder alert for that sort of thing? And beyond that, how do they take over the entire ship of hundreds of people that quickly?
Well, I thought the timing on this was beautiful because this episode came out the day after we found out about that congressman who was going around with the guy that was involved in the January 6th insurrection who was taking pictures. So again, they have been so timely without intending to. I think it's pretty obvious that she passed them information about how the ship is set up.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, I think they did.
Excuse me, they. Yeah.
But I still think that it was too easy for them to take over the ship.
Mark, you look serious, pondering.
No, I agree with you guys. It was easy, but then I'm just trying to, I don't know, process it in my head. I can see both sides of the argument. In my head canon to fix it, I just say that it's because Dr. Aspen provided all this intel and has been feeding them intel the entire time, and so they just had it down like a squad of just SWAT team,
And it's possible that they were messing with the computer. Maybe there is an alarm and they turned it off. Although you'd think there'd be an alarm for turning off the alarm.
Maybe.
But,
Can I just thank the writers right now for, I think it's our first trip through the Jeffries tubes.
Yes.
And wasn't that...
I love how they look so much like the TOS ones.
Yeah, they're just gorgeous. And we haven't even seen all of the Jeffries tubes. We've just sort of seen that one tube. I can't wait for them to do like a whole crawling around through the guts of the Enterprise. I just love that. Oh.
Have either of you been to the Star Trek tour in Ticonderoga, New York?
No, and I'm only a couple-hour drive.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you should go. You should go... Actually, no. In August, you should go to the Ticonderoga convention.
Oh. Well, I'll be at STLV.
Oh, it's the week before the weekend before STLV.
Yeah, so I don't know about that, but
fair enough.
There's thoughts. I mean, I'd love to go to all the cons, but
the set tour is amazing, and they do have the Jeffries tube that you can crawl into a little bit and get a photo.
Ooh.
And it's
that was
really
at
cool.
the traveling thing they had, because they had that at the Ford Museum in Detroit, and I saw that.
And it's funny, they have the Jeffries tube the way it actually is on set, because it's the set tour. It's designed to look just like it did on the actual set. They just add the extra wall. And so the Jeffries tube is not actually round. It's oval because they would shoot it from an angle and it would look round.
Okay, cool.
Well, I mean, it's still round, but it's not circular. It's an oval.
Huh.
Cool.
Interesting.
Sorry, when I saw that Jeffries tube, I immediately thought of the Star Trek tour because of that. But I do love that we see the Jeffries tube. I love how badass Chapel is.
Yeah. She kicked some butt this week.
Yeah. So what kind of soup do you think Pike made?
I don't know, but I'm annoyed at how easily he was able to manipulate those pirates.
Yes.
So, this is a complaint that I have about the episode. Now, I love the episode. I've loved all of the episodes for the most part. I think Spock Amok was, like, I would say my least favorite, but it's still a great episode of the season.
Oh, interesting.
I know, it's very... everybody else loved it, but I just... Anyway, talking about this. So... This is going to be an unpopular opinion.
That's okay.
But I feel like they do this a lot, especially lately, with having these supposedly the villains, but them being neutered. Like, they're just not... Like, the Orion guy who's so forgettable... he's swayed by Pike's soup, and the whole crew is swayed by Pike's soup, and they just take over, and it's just like, oh my, what were the writers thinking? Like, that was just so...
Yeah. The worst part here is, it's clear, like, we know that guy's not really the captain. Does he actually have the authority to just... decide to take them all to sell them to the Klingons instead of,
well,
getting...
He's not figuring that that's actually going to happen because he knows that they're going to meet up with they're going to take Enterprise.
What I don't know,
because he announces to the crew that they're setting course for the Klingon colony.
That's true.
What I had the major issue is the fact that, like I said, they've done this before, where they'll have this supposed big bad, but he doesn't really have any balls. And then, like, the real villain, who was Dr. Aspen Angel, is, like, really cool and interesting, and they just threw all of their creative energy at that character. And the rest of the pirates, and especially, even that I don't know her name either, but the African-American woman that, had the thick eyeliner.
I don't know if we ever learned her name.
They ended up swaying her to take over the ship. Anyway, none of them, really, they were all just such, like, wimps and pushovers. Whereas Dr. Aspen Angel was just so cool. Why couldn't they have made the other characters cool too? They were just not. It was just striking how underdeveloped the rest of them were. I don't know.
Like, I feel like based on these pirates that we see, like, Angel must be incredibly frustrated with their crew at all times, if that is how these pirates act.
Mm-hmm.
Chakotay was more badass.
Let me ask you this, though. Yeah.
Nice.
Let me ask you this, though. If this had been the standard 90s Trek 45 minutes with commercials, would you have the same question? Or would you feel like it was that serious?
I would have had the same question.
Things like this have happened already in standard.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Was just, we've discussed before that we think this is probably something they're going to end up airing on regular television because they are keeping to that 45, 50 minute, Well,
so
what
it's
about
just
time.
Like Gul Dukat? What about Gul Dukat and like Dumar? Is it Dumar?
Damar
is the other?
Yeah.
Damar,
and like the underlings, they're still cool too.
No.
Just because Gul Dukat was cool doesn't mean that the people around him aren't cool and interesting and developed as well. Whereas in this episode, I feel like the only person developed really, and that was really interesting as far as the new characters and the pirates, was just Angel. When you're supposed to be misleading the audience here, so you should have made them a little bit more menacing. A little bit more.
I don't disagree.
There was just no menace.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree, but what I'm saying is it's the timing. Was Damar interesting the first time we met him? I don't remember. So, this is, you're comparing seasons worth of character development with.
Damar was very
what
much
can be
not
done in
interesting the first
45
time we
minutes.
met him. He was just the guy at the helm.
I don't disagree that they could have been more interesting, but I think given the lack of time, they did what they could.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like,
I still find it to be way too easy for Pike to have manipulated them.
Yes.
That said, I like that they refer to this as Alpha Braga 4, which is, of course, a reference to former Star Trek producer Brandon Braga.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Caught that too.
I
Same
did
here.
not make
Every
that
time
connection.
they said it, I giggled a little.
I think they tried to explain the quickness of the takeover of the pirate ship in that last moment when we get the reverse shot and they're actually trying to get at them. The mutiny thing did not work. They escaped the jail cell, somehow managed to make it to the bridge and lock everybody else out. Mm-hmm. At least that's how I read it.
All right, so is Pike standing at a steering wheel?
Yes.
Is that how this ship is controlled?
Well, maybe it's not how it's
Like
controlled,
an actual pirate ship?
but it's there.
So it reminded me a little bit of the Delta Flyer in the fact that the Delta Flyer had an old-fashioned joystick or steering
Manual
wheel
controls.
for that,
Yep.
and they had the old buttons. And I always really liked that ship, and I think that it would be a fun ship.
And
to
it
fly.
would have had tail fins if not for that too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so maybe it's just
Yeah,
anachronistic bit.
maybe it's just. The Orions are set up as a pirate people in general. Although, for your information, some Orions have not been pirates for 5 years. But. So maybe it's just like a design, like we can maybe assume it's an Orion ship, and like Orions use wheels for their ships because the pirate trope.
Well, we don't know Dr. Aspen / Angel's background. It's entirely possible they're human, and they did that on purpose to make it kind of funny.
That's also possible. I keep forgetting it's Aspen's ship because
Yeah.
they're such a different person from the pirates on the ship. Speaking of pirates, we do get Pike giving a pirate impression on the Enterprise, almost entire, obviously to annoy number one, and it works, and I like that.
Yeah.
It also gave me a new reaction GIF. I had to make one of Una saying "Please stop" because I'm going to use that a lot now.
I need that. Yeah. Shall we talk Cybok?
Let's talk Cybok. Yes. All right. So we find out that this whole time, Angel has been trying to do this to arrange the release of Cybok, or Zavarius, as he goes by. And I think, Chrissy, you have something to say about Zavarius?
Okay, so the name sounded like it was relevant somehow. So I looked it up. Zavarius is a name that you find amongst humans, I guess we could say. It's a derivative of Xavier. So the first thing I thought
Makes
was
sense.
X-Men. They're making a Patrick Stewart joke. But I don't think they were. Because the other person...
Wait, Patrick Stewart plays Cybok? What?
Yeah, they put that wig on him. And
That would be amazing, actually. They should totally do
So okay, if you Google Xavier, two things come up. You get X-Men stuff, and you get stuff for the Catholic Saint Francis Xavier, who is one of the founders of the Jesuit order of monks, of Catholic monks, the teaching priests, so they're often referred to. If you're familiar with the colonial history of the Great Lakes area, the Jesuits were very much involved in the attempted conversion of the tribal peoples here. Also,
Right,
Notre
because
Dame.
that was French territory.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
So, right, Francis Xavier, he is the patron saint of a lot of things, but many of them are associated with missionary work. And so that connects to Cybok beautifully. Because if you look at what he's doing in Final Frontier, it is basically missionary work. because he's trying to bring them over to his belief system. So somebody did their homework, or somebody on the writing staff is a lapsed Catholic like I am, or both. It's also funny because...
Could very well be both.
Yeah, probably. It's also funny because he is one of the patron saints of plagues and epidemics, so,
Oh, fun.
Timely.
Why do plagues and epidemics have a patron saint?
I don't know. Maybe it's for the patron saint of dealing with plagues and epidemics.
I mean, I hope so.
Yeah. So that's it. I just thought it was a very good connection, and it works perfectly. So.
All right. So yeah, Sybok. I mean, obviously, we're gonna get more Sybok. That is. They wouldn't end the episode this way. I do like... So Spock says he realizes who this person is. And I like that... The only reason he tells Chapel is because she basically gets it out of him. She asks him about it. Because if Spock was just revealing that he knows that he has a half-brother named Sybok to people, that would be a bit out of character considering the events of Star Trek V.
Yeah.
But he only tells Chapel about it because she asks him directly. Yeah. So that works, I think. I am very interested to learn more about Sybok in a not William Shatner directed way. Not that all of the sins of Star Trek V can be laid at Shatner's feet. There are many reasons for that, but Star Trek V, I watched it last night. It is still not a good movie. I think it's amazing. We've all been making jokes about their bringing back Sybok ever since Discovery started, especially since Discovery Season 2, joking about Sybok. I never thought they'd actually do it, and I am excited to learn more and see how they tie Sybok into all of this. And now that we know, it makes sense that that's where this was going when we had in Spock Amok, where we learn that T'Pring's whole job is dealing with Vulcans who have strayed from the logical path. And yeah, this is exciting. We're gonna get more Sybok. We're gonna find out more about Sybok, and it's gonna be cool. I am very interested to see who plays Sybok.
Yeah.
I don't know did IMDb tell us this week? Maybe
I meant to look and I forgot. They're gonna have to play with this a bit, because I always, in Final Frontier, Spock says that he and Sybok were raised as brothers, which is fine. You don't have to necessarily retcon that in terms of dealing with Michael, because it's entirely, and I think it is likely that Sybok is considerably older than Spock. I would at least a decade, if not more. And I always figured he was.
I think more.
Yeah.
Because he has gray hair in Final Frontier.
Well,
like, his hair is starting to gray.
I mean, gray hair is not necessarily an indicator of age. But
not necessarily an indicator, but when you figure that Sybok is full Vulcan.
Yeah.
Vulcans live a long time.
Yeah.
I think that is supposed to demonstrate that he is older than Spock.
So you don't have to reconcile it with he wasn't there when they brought Michael home. That's not an issue.
Right.
And
by the way, we do not yet know who plays Sybok. Memory Alpha just lists him as unknown performer.
Okay.
I think it's Jeffrey Combs. I'm calling it right now.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Please.
We just had a huge love fest of Jeffrey Combs in this week's All Good Things, so I wanted to bring him into this discussion.
Good. Yes. Yeah. Oh, and we've established that he was born out of a marriage, which in and of itself, whatever. I liked.
I mean, is it logical for Vulcans to have children out of wedlock?
Yeah, if they need to. Do the deed for Ponfar.
Yeah, in the society where you need to have sex or die, I guess it actually makes a lot of sense that there would be children born out of wedlock.
Yes.
Never mind.
There's a whole lot of little Cyboks running around.
Well, and I mean, right. I mean, T'Pring and Spock have had sex. She could fall pregnant. I would like to think that logical beings that they are very meticulous about their birth control. But
right
in the books, it was established that, I don't know, in the books, Sarek was married to this woman. Her name, I pulled it up, Terea. Okay, which we do not have Sybok's mother's name otherwise, but
all we know is she was a Vulcan princess.
Yes, a Vulcan princess, which, yeah, royalty is not logical, but
you'd think not,
right? In the novel Sarek, she requested divorce from Sarek in order to take Kolinahr, and then ends up becoming the Master of Gaul. And also in that, Sarek didn't know about Sybok until later. So I don't... Born in and out of wedlock, I don't care. But I do want the story. I want to know why Vulcan has an aristocracy like that and all the rest.
We will not find out, I guarantee it.
Unless they give him his own series. Star Trek Sybok.
Ooh.
I doubt it.
Short Trek.
But that could be interesting. Yeah. I don't think the short treks are coming back.
No, I don't think so either, but I'm going to keep suggesting ideas for them.
Yeah, same.
Novel. That too.
We could very well get a Sybok novel. That would actually make sense.
Yeah.
All right. So, canon connections.
Yeah, I think that was a Calto set on the desk on the pirate ship, but other than that, the idea of Spock making a guess, and I love I immediately thought of McCoy saying about Kirk, Spock, he trusts your guesses over other people's facts. So,
mm-hmm. And obviously Sybok is a canon.
Well, yeah.
Listeners, you don't have to rewatch Star Trek V like I did just because you want to know more about Sybok. I mean, you can if you want to. I enjoyed it because I was also tweeting about how bad it was as I was watching it. Mm-hmm. But, don't you do not need to share my pain. I gain strength through the sharing, but you probably won't. So
it depends, how masochistic are our listeners feeling today.
There you go. Did you have any canon connections, Mark?
Yeah. Anything else, Mark? That you noticed?
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit. I was excited to see the Jeffries tubes, which come up again in the original series. They're the same. They look very similar anyway. And then the unrequited love with Christine Chapel and Spock, that will they, won't they, that keeps going through the original series. They've tied that in. I think that's... And like I said earlier, it's just very relatable for people in my community, because we spend our lives that way, right? The rest of the world around us is seemingly heterosexual, and you, especially when you're younger, you fall in love with this person or that person or whatever, and then they go on and live their straight lives, and you have all of these unrequited loves before you end up meeting somebody that is interested in the same thing as you, and that's not really a canon connection, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciated that Star Trek sort of wove that in there, because it's very relatable for a lot of people.
Yeah. It's your personal canon.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion today. Where can listeners find you online? Is there any current or upcoming work that you want to talk about?
Oh, my Lord. Oh, my profits. There we go.
There you go.
So people can find me on the BQN Collective Facebook page. They can find me on All Good Things with Amy Nelson. They can find me, if they become a Patreon supporter of the network, they can find me hosting It's Green. And I've been doing some cool interviews on It's Green worth checking out. It's Green is its own kind of thing, and hopefully it's always interesting or entertaining. So yeah.
Both.
Oh, and I'm on Twitter as well @MarkWhite207. So feel free to find or follow me.
All right. Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not talking like a pirate?
In addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on BQN, and that's a twice-weekly short history podcast that I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter at The Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you're not looking for a hiding place in the Jeffries tube?
Best place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Tyrannicus, that's Tyranicus, where I talk about a lot of things, but mostly Star Trek. When I watch Star Trek, I often live tweet it, so that's fun. I recently started up my alphabetical watch through of Star Trek again.
Oh, that's right,
I had taken a couple months off, but I'm back at it. I'm in the letter C. I just watched Conspiracy yesterday.
Good one.
So, you can follow me for that insanity, which is I'm watching every episode of Star Trek alphabetically by episode title. And I do sometimes hang out in the BQN Collective, and you can also listen to me on License to Spiel, which is a podcast I do with my friend Carl about the James Bond films. That's license spelled with a C, like the British do it.
All right. Well, listeners, don't forget all of our other great shows on BQN podcasts, like Galaxy Class and, of course, All Good Things, Mickey's Marvels, Union Federation, and History with the Szilagys, as I mentioned before. And exclusive for our Patreon members, again, as mentioned before, It's Green with Mark. It's wonderful to listen to. And Amy's got some math moments going here, which are those are pretty fun, too.
Previously on BQN. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast.
I think that's kind of the flaw of his genetic manipulation, is I have to defeat my enemy. And in his mind, just like Moby Dick, the enemy is Captain Kirk, so he kind of blows his chance. In fact, in some ways, that maybe saves the galaxy, because it kind of taken off, and I got Reliant, I got Genesis, I'm out of here. Who knows what he could have gone and done.
Galaxy Class, a Star Trek The Next Generation podcast.
I think for cosplay, for me, a good way to put it is low effort, maximum impact, and you want to get that balance. Yeah, you don't want to put in thousands of hours of effort for it to look alright. So I put in little bits of effort and usually get a good result out of it.
Mickey's Marvels, a Disney podcast.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers otherwise feels like something that they would just reboot into a modern day cartoon like they've done with DuckTales. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did with like Darkwing Duck or Tailspin or any of those.
You will find these and more of your favorite podcasts on BQN.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about the next episode of Strange New Worlds, The Elysian Kingdom. Until then, we wish you peace and long life.
I like that they refer to this as Alpha Braga 4, which is, of course, a reference to former Star Trek producer Brandon Braga.
Ah,
Yes,
okay.
Caught that too.
I
Same
did
here.
Not
Every
make that
time
connection.
they said it, I giggled a little.
Yeah, every time they said it, I get... Mark, have you been to STOVU before?
Went last year, yeah.
Okay. So did you see the Rat Pack show?
did not.
Okay. Well, one of the songs they always sing at the Rat Pack show, and for those who don't know, the Rat Pack is a group of Star Trek actors who sing songs like the Rat Pack would sing, like the traditional Rat Pack, Sinatra and such, of that have been turned into with Star Trek lyrics. Max Grodenchik actually writes all of them, and they have a song that they've apparently been singing since like season 3 of Enterprise that they call Xindi. And basically they're saying that the Xindi arc is ruining Enterprise and blah blah blah, which I don't necessarily agree with, but it's a funny song. And at one point they're just like, call the producers, hey Brennan Braga. Anyway, I've had that stupid Xindi song stuck in my head ever since I watched that. Yeah. Anyway,
totally.
So, like, one other person who listens to the show is probably going to get that reference, and otherwise it's going to go over their heads.
No, you explained it. I understand exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.